Well, good morning, everybody. As Tony said, I'm Charlie from Foodie Fit. So just a little quick story on me, how I began my nutrition journey. I actually used to weigh 320 pounds when I was 16. So for me, it was just pretty much saving my own life first. And being 16, I was growing up around the era of technology, our smartphones and computers. I never really had the courage to ask for the help, so I did it all by myself. I've done every kind of diet. I've done all the shortcuts. I've done the phentermine, all that stuff, the starving yourself. So it really took a toll on me, and I just couldn't understand why I couldn't keep the weight off. So that's what really pushed me to pursue studying nutrition. So I just started studying online, just reading basic things on it. Started, use myself as a guinea pig. Everything I was reading, I was testing out, and whatever worked, I stuck with. Whatever didn't, I would take out. And the next steps I took was, actually asking for help because I couldn't just do it myself. So I hired trainers and coaches and everything. But then I actually started going through academies to be a certified nutrition coach. So currently, I'm certified through Precision Nutrition. They're one of the most renowned academies you can go through for nutrition learning. They're very science-based, which is what I love because most things about nutrition is very market ploy just to get you to buy their product, and it doesn't really help. I'm all about actually teaching people the right ways of having a good relationship with food and not treating it as something as bad, because we need food. It's the energy we need. It's how we keep going. It's how we live day to day. And so when you cut one of those things out, it comes full circle. It'll start affecting everything else. So you got to find that balance with everything. So that's what really helped me was actually tracking my macros. Your protein, carbs, and fats, making sure I was getting a good balance of a little bit of all of them based on my goals. From there, I actually dabbled with the bodybuilding side. I competed. It was fun, not a career. Talking to those people behind the stage, listening to the things they were doing, the constant fighting for an image, and you were never happy with how you looked. I realized that even being at the peak of my physical appearance, I was still chasing some sort of image and body dysmorphia. So really what I've really shifted my view on health is, just having a good relationship with food. It's not about how you look physically, it's really about on the inside. I want to be able to bend over without feeling back pain. I don't want to have knee pain just from sitting down for 30 minutes. That to me is unhealthy. But back to nutrition, that's the biggest important thing. And being, a firefighter, you guys are very on the go. You guys are working 48, 72 hours. And from what I've seen, from the people I've talked to in the academies and here in Vegas, it's hard for you guys to really get that good meal in because you guys are always on the go. You guys get calls back and forth. So, that's pretty much what I'm going to be going over is pretty much helping you all figure out, one, where your caloric intake should be, whether you're on shift or off shift, some strategies to help you make sure you're staying fueled for your shifts, as well as your food choices when it comes to getting simple sugars in, something that's fast acting, because being on the job, I've seen that you guys really don't know when you're going to get the next call, how long you're going to be out for. So it's very important that you're as fueled as possible because you don't know how long your duration is going to be out there on the field. So when it comes to calculating your intake, I actually use a formula. I have it here on my PowerPoint, but you guys won't be able to see it. Pretty much I take your body mass, your fat mass, your age, activity factor, some other variables to really get a baseline of where you should be, and use that as my benchmark to really put your intake based on your goal or, your career field. So when it comes to your activity factor, as it was stated earlier, you guys are on that endurance athlete side, so I treat firefighters as such, endurance athletes. So pretty much I try to teach, strategies on top of carb loading, or just really knowing how to get your calories worth in such a small sitting. Excuse me, my phone. There we go. And so when it comes to being on shift and making sure you get the proper nutrition you need as quick as you can, there's a couple things you can do. But first, I want to talk about your macro breakdown. I typically with most clients I've worked with that are firefighters, I put their protein at a 20% intake, their carbs between 50 to 65%, and their fats between 15 to 30%. And also depending on your work volume, I set 2 different goals based on moderate volume of your workload and also heavy volume. So if you're on the moderate side, this is something you're gonna have to play with yourself. It's situational based. But if you know you have like a very moderate workload from day to day, or you can predict how your workload's gonna be, if you have a moderate workday, I would suggest adding another 1,000 to 1,500 calories on top of your basal metabolic rate. So pretty much that's like your maintenance caloric intake. For example, if your BMR you calculate comes out to 2,000 calories, I would want you to add at least 1,000 to 1,500 to that. So your intake would actually be 3,000 or 3,500, again, when you're on shift. The reason being is because, again, you need a lot of energy when you're out there. You don't know how long you're gonna be out in the field. You don't know what you're gonna be into. So my ultimate goal is to make sure you're as fueled as possible so you don't fatigue really quick and it puts you in a bad spot to where, like it was stated earlier, you could pass out. So being fueled to the best of your ability is my biggest goal for you guys. For a heavy volume day, I typically add another 2,000 and 2,500 calories on top of your maintenance calories. So using that 2,000 benchmark, that's 4,000 and 4,500 calories a day. And why is this? Well, because one, as I stated, I teach you guys as endurance athletes. You guys are going out for prolonged periods of time, carrying a lot of extra gear on you. You don't know if you're going to be helping people, carrying them, who knows what. So it's all about making sure you have those energy reserves that keep going throughout your day. And it's also important to make sure that you just have that fuel, because again, it's going to be play a huge factor when you're out there in the field. And another little tip and trick that I teach is that if you pair a carbohydrate dense meal with some healthy fats, you can get away with a carb sparing effect because of those healthy fats. Your body will actually use those fats first as energy, so you don't really diminish your glycogen stores in your muscles. So that's another trick I add in there that I teach. And so now for your off-shift intakes, this is where the biggest thing happens, is that this is the outside realm of where you should be practicing those healthy lifestyle choices. Making sure your health is still being top of mind, getting your exercise in, making good food choices, but the intake will drop. So for an off-shift intake, on your days off, your rest days, I always recommend dropping it back down to your maintenance calories, and then your macro breakdown would be 20 to 30% protein, your carbs 45 to 55%, and then your fats 15 to 35%. And then, during these off days, these rest days, you're eating for your health. You want to make sure you're focusing on building better habits, work on your health goals. So if you're looking to build muscle or lose weight, this would be the time to do it. I wouldn't recommend focusing on your health goals while you're on shift, just because the time won't be there for you to really focus on those health goals, because you have to be so focused on the job at hand, the task at hand. So take advantage of your rest days, really focus on your health goals, not during your work shifts. And then some strategies to keep you ready is meal timing is a big thing, endurance athletes use, I've used in the past. So one thing you can do is like have a big breakfast if you can, if there's nothing going on in the morning, it's pretty quiet. Try to have a bigger breakfast than usual. This way your body's storing all of it and you'll have that energy ready and available for you later in your day for when it's really needed. And if that food volume is too much, look to do a smoothie. One big thing I study is enzymes and digestion. So if you want something to be more quickly active and readily available to your body, you're going to want something in liquid form. So a smoothie would be your best bet. And another cool thing about the smoothie is that you can jam pack it with as much calories as you want, and it's easy to drink. So if you know that you are in a station that's very high volume work pace, you really don't have time to get 3-4 meals in a day, a smoothie would be your best friend, because again, you can just jam pack it with calories and your body won't take as long to digest it because it's a liquid form compared to a solid form, and liquids are quicker and easy to digest. And if that doesn't work, I would suggest carb loading. So after your work day is pretty much done, you have your dinner, I would always recommend having a bigger dinner then. So that way the next day, you're prepared for everything. And then also consuming simple sugars. So I'll be talking about some simple sugar food choices you can get in the next slide. But that's another big thing you're gonna wanna utilize, is making sure you're getting a lot of simple sugar food sources in, because simple sugars, they're in its simplest form, and your body digests it quicker, and it's more readily available. And then another thing is, foodie fit, meal prepping, having something prepared, because I know cooking takes a lot of time, so there's always having something in the fridge that you usually gotta pop in the microwave would be a good tool to utilize as well. And so when it comes to food choices, some simple sugars you want to go with are like some white bread and pastas, fruit, honey, and sports drinks. The sports drinks, I would limit. Don't want you to drink all your calories from sports drinks, and all that sugar intake isn't really good, but it's beneficial for you guys on your work shift days, because it's liquid form, so it'll just pass right through you. Your body will absorb it. It's ready to go. On your off days, I would say if you still want to do your sports drinks or any other kind of like pop or anything like that, just do 0 sugar. You don't have to go cold turkey and remove it entirely. Just do like 0 sugar alternatives. And then when it comes to like healthy fats to like pack in there, make sure you're using things like avocado or avocado oil, MCT oil, extra virgin olive oil, chia seed, peanut butter, almond butter, even dark chocolate. And for like a smoothie recipe, one I used to do a lot was about 1 to 2 cups of frozen berries, 1 scoop of protein powder, half or a whole banana, 1 to 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, almond butter, and 1 to 2 ounces of chia seeds. So that was like my go-to, pretty good utilization if you need something quick, energy on the go. And that's pretty much all I have. So hopefully, I hope all the information helps. I feel like I ran through that pretty quick, but I also just wanted to keep this simple and things that you guys can really just know where to get it, how to get it, and it's not as complicated as you may think. But the most important thing is just that I want to touch on is just knowing your caloric intake and just making sure you're not underfeeding, so you don't hurt yourself out there and put yourself in a bad position. Any questions?
So you're gonna have to repeat them.
Huh?
You have to repeat the questions. Do you have a certain amount of meals that you prescribe per day?
No, it's all dependent, but for you guys, it would vary. So the question was, do I recommend any certain meals per day? No, because everyone's lifestyle is different, everyone's job's different, everyone has different amounts of time to really sit down and eat a meal. So, using you guys as an example, as firefighters on your work days, you don't have that time. So that's why I would recommend you guys eating bigger meals as soon as you can, because you can't predict your day, it's unpredictable. But at least you got a bulk of your calories in, you're not going to be hurting out there later on. So yeah.
Yes. Cool.
Thank you.